The fairy part seems to be anyone who believes in magic. And what I mean by magic is that we all have the God inside us. We all have the power to create or manifest our own realities. The radical part is that they are willing to give up all other aspects of their lives in order to pursue this magic. Most radical fairies can be identified by a look that they have, but not all of them. I mean, some radical fairies are extremely flamboyant. Others are quite conservative.
It's just anybody who wishes to be whatever they want to be in that moment. Doesn't matter how whacked out and crazy it seems to anybody else. It's holding that space. That's what a radical fairy is. I think it's holding the space and the energy for you to be free. And we all come from a world where we're so deeply programmed into little boxes. You know, that's not who we are. It's not until you get outside of the boxes, although that can be quite frightening at times. You don't know who you are until you're outside of that box, looking back in. And this is a great place for that as well, because everybody's a mirror to each other. Well, the one in Hawaii really scared the hell out of me, to tell you the truth. Because the day I arrived, they have a naked volleyball tournament on a Saturday. I thought, what the hell is this? That was quite an eye-opener. There's nothing funnier than naked volleyball complete with line dancing and brief operattas and high kicks. It was hilarious and terrifying.
And radically sad and radically anxious, and they experience everything to the fullest it can be experienced. That's an amazing way to live, you know. You know, there's a lot of people that come here that because they are radical, because they are flamboyant in public, they've suffered. So there's a lot of people that come out here with a lot of issues. And, you know, and so there are people who will scream and cry, and because we encourage people to express their emotions, because people in the outside world, you can't. You always have to cover up what you're thinking or feeling. You can't scream when you feel like screaming. And
being gay and coming out at 15 years old, when I went to my first gay person's house and felt like that it was okay to be that way. It's like people come here for like those simple freedoms that some of us that live here probably take for granted at times.
I think a lot of times we have to take on the role of social worker here, when a lot of us have never really been trained to be social workers.
I mean, you know, whether it's people that are sexually abused, you know, emotionally, physically abused, self-inflicted, inflicted by a partner, parents.
Prior to 1996, a lot of people who came out here to die. They came out here kind of knowing, I think, in the back of their minds that they were going to die of HIV.
Yeah, I was diagnosed in 1989. I know I got it when I was in New York City when I was having the blast. The same place I got the hepatitis C. All in the same needle.
But that was before the cocktail, and that's before all the amazing drugs that came out and treatments that we didn't have, and that too changed this place. So now it is a place of freedom in a way that it wasn't at that time.
When the culture doesn't value a place where people can voluntarily leave the larger culture, when people don't value that as a culture, there's a rise in this need to remove people from the culture for antisocial behavior, for substance abuse, for maladaptive patterns that run counter to the culture. Sanctuaries have a long history in humanity as safe places, as welcoming places, as places where people can encounter the sacred or encounter a deeper understanding of self.
The Faerie University. People that come here tend to be shamans. People that come here, or a lot of the, I should rephrase that, a lot of the people that come here are shamans. Shaman being those who believe in natural magic. The basic part of shamanism is that understanding that all things are one. The shaman's job is to remind the individual who's at a balance that everything is living, everything is related, and everything that we do to anything else, we also do to ourselves. And so if we spend our time doing things to help other people, we're also healing ourselves, because other people will then get beyond their fears and be able to share love with us. We also do vision quests. I also have done vision quests with people. And that can be like a 3-day ceremony, where we will spend a day in prayer and meditation and discussion about whatever it is the person wants to achieve. And then we go out into the forest or someplace in the outback. They will find a space, roughly about a 50-foot circle, maybe around a tree or something like that. They'll get into that space and they'll remain in that space without food or water for 3 days. And in that 3 days, and they don't, they sleep or do whatever they want to inside the circle, but in that 3 days, I'm not far away, tending a fire and beating a drum. Those drums, when we get to that point of hunger or sleeplessness or whatever, where we're feeling a little delirious, the rhythm of that drum can then be like a handrail that we use to journey inside ourselves.
Really amazing the amount of purity that there is in the state of insanity, or what we perceive as insanity.
Yeah, I think I would be not necessarily out of order to say that some people are using substances to explore how their spirituality works with that altered state of consciousness. Some are like making it up on the fly.
Santeria.
Totally.
Voodoo, just
Christian.
Christian
Has to be accepted as well. So, what do people believe? You name it. So we have to be sort of accommodating in that aspect.
So radical, the word means up to the root. And like in our modern connotation, the word radical means to be on the ends or to be on the edges of things. It was supposed to be an answer to the normative lifestyles of the gay movement. So to go back to the nature of our identity, which is not to be conformist, because it's like we're all raised in a patriarchal society and taught male, female, nothing in between. We just realized that we are the in-between. Radical fairies are the in-between.